world. It became a legend before it even rolled off the production line. Shrouded by a mantle of stealth, it can fly into harm's way, deliver 40,000 pounds of destruction, and remain almost undetectable. Now, the B-2 stealth bomber on Modern Marvels. On a cold spring morning on March 24th, 1999, in the skies over Yugoslavia, two B-2 stealth bombers are about to penetrate enemy airspace for the first time.
Early on, we weren't sure. What the enemy was capable of seeing or anything like that. In fact, the first night of Operation Allied Force, as the airplanes are flying into Serbia, there was a MiG engagement with an F-15 directly below the airplane. And it turns out the MiG had no idea that the B-2s were directly overhead. And hearing that report just started to really quickly build the confidence in stealth technology.
In the cockpits, the two-man crew is entering its 14th hour of continuous flying. Having refueled over the Mediterranean Sea, they move into stealth mode as the sleek shapes of the B-2s vanish into the night sky.
On the way there, you're not so much nervous as you are anticipating what you're about to go through, but you're also taking advantage of the time that you have to prepare yourself to do it well. And so you spend time studying imagery and studying the targets and familiarizing yourself with where the threats might be.
The two B-2s separate, one above the other, and climbing to combat altitude, begin their carefully choreographed bomb runs. The B-2 pilots have no chaff, no flares, no high-speed afterburner, and no missiles to fire back. They only have one thing to protect them: their stealth.
Normally on a training mission, when we're just simulating the release of weapons, we don't open the weapons bay doors. Obviously on a combat mission, when you're dropping weapons out, the doors do come open. And so there's drag on the airplane, there's noise on the airplane. There's a clunk when the weapon falls off the airplane.
High over the target area, the aircraft shudders as weapons shoot out from its twin rotary launchers in the bomb bay of each B-2.
The most unique aspect of it, which really kind of gave me the sense of, hey, this is for real, is my first release when the weapons started to come out and you felt the weapons dropping and being discharged from the airplane. That's when the hairs on the back of my neck just started to kind of raise, and I realized, hey, this is for real.
16 classified targets, 16 direct hits. At the B-2's home base in Missouri, anxious commanders scan the teletype machine for confirmation of the raid. Suddenly there is a text: Darth 01 and 2, clean and green. The B-2s are safe and heading for home. In the final year of the 20th century, the flying wing had come of age and gone into battle. But nearly 100 years earlier, men had dreamt that the flying wing was the future of flight and the future of war. But it wasn't until the early 1930s that the dream became a reality, when two young brothers, Reimer and Walter Horton, first began to design wings for the new Nazi regime in Germany.
The Horton brothers were very interested in highly efficient gliders. And it's not such a great leap of imagination to realize that the most efficient form for any flying machine is just a pure wing.
With the outbreak of World War II in 1939, the brothers continued their groundbreaking work under a shroud of secrecy. By 1941, they are exploring the use of a transport wing to help in the planned invasion of Britain. At the same time, another German, Alexander Lippisch, is working on his own wing design, when in late 1941, his Me-163 Comet crosses the 600-mile-per-hour barrier for the first time. The potential of rocket power combined with a flying wing design could change aviation history. Meanwhile, the Horton brothers are going down another path. By 1942, they are working on a 61-foot wingspan aircraft called the HO-9. This would be powered by the Junkers turbojet engines that were to be fitted to the ME-262.
The Horton number 9 was the pinnacle of the brothers' development of the flying wing. And the prototype achieved a speed of something like 500 miles an hour. They had clearly demonstrated that you could build a vehicle with jet engines, that you could fly it, that it had very high speed potential, and so they had really validated the concept.
Another of Reimer Horton's designs is the HO-229. Built of wood, and with its engines housed on the wings with their exhausts vented on the top of the wing, this aircraft would have been extremely difficult to detect. But if it could have flown, it would have had a top speed of 620 miles per hour, the fastest aircraft in World War II. But while the Germans are developing their jets, a 40-year-old American aircraft designer named Jack Northrop is quietly working on a flying wing design of his own. Jack had been dreaming about flying wings since the 1920s, and had long held the belief that the way to success in wing design was by reducing the drag created by a tail and fuselage.
Northrop's idea was, first of all, to minimize the tail and the fuselage, and then, as a last step, to get rid of the tail altogether. So he went through a whole series of smaller steps in order to achieve the all-wing configuration.
In December 1942, his NIM flying wing takes to the air, and over the next few years, more and more of his designs are being refined and tested. But by May 1945, the long and bitter struggle to defeat Nazi Germany is over. Its industrial and technological centers lie in ruin, along with its dream of a flying wing aircraft. But Jack Northrop is convinced that where the Germans failed, his wing will become the greatest aircraft in the world. All he would need is the raw power to do it. Germany's Horton brothers were the first to utilize stealth technology with the invention of the HO-9 jet in 1942. The plane's wings were coated with a wood carbon powder composite that could absorb radar waves and escape detection. You are watching the B-2 stealth bomber on Modern Marvels. May 1945. Nazi Germany is smashed into submission, and with it are its hopes and dreams of building a flying wing aircraft. But while post-war America continues to build conventional aircraft such as the B-29, one man pursues his vision. In 1946, Jack Northrop tests his massive 400-mile-per-hour XB-35 flying wing. Powered by 4 turboprop engines, this aircraft is seen by some as the bomber of the future.
This was where Northrop's vision really started to take shape, because the XB-35 had a wingspan of about 60 meters. This is a big airplane, even by today's standards. Its problem was that whilst its top speed was about 400 miles an hour, its speed in long-range cruise was only 185 miles an hour.
Just a year later, Northrop unleashes the new YB-49. Powered by 8 Allison jet engines, this 172-foot wingspan Goliath is capable of flying at over 500 miles per hour at a ceiling of 40,000 feet. Jack Northrop has taken the American wing off the design boards and into the air.
Now, a preview of the flying wing transport of tomorrow.
Jack Northrop's vision for his flying wing is not just as a bomber. He also sees it as a passenger aircraft, because the wing could carry far greater loads than conventional aircraft. His airliner would be capable of carrying 80 passengers with an observation lounge and an ability to fly coast to coast in 4 hours. But the YB-49's days are numbered. Although years ahead of its time, it is incredibly difficult to fly. And without computers to help control it, the U.S. Air Force feels that